Hi, I'm Ray Norton with the Code Enforcement Division of the Village of Hoffman Estates. We're offering energy assessments for our residents. This is a low-cost opportunity for you to identify areas of energy loss in your home and to learn of economical ways of reducing those losses, thereby reducing your utility bills. Let me show you an example of an energy assessment right now. The blower door test is great no matter how old or how new your home is. Hi, here we are at Rick's house, getting ready to do a blower door test, bringing in all the equipment. The first thing that we have to do is get calculations of the surface area of the home, the area of the home, and the volume of the home. I have 162 linear feet, and he's got surface area of 4,220. All right, we're all done with our calculations now. All right, we're busy putting the door frame together, ready to lay the frame on it. The fan will be putting a lot of pressure on here, so we have to make sure that we're nice and snug here. The next thing we're going to do is throw out some tubing here and thread it back in through a hole provided in the door, and this will let our gauge register the difference between the outside pressure and the inside pressure, so we know how much pressure we're putting on the home. Okay, now we will insert the fan. Okay, next thing we got to do is put the mid brace in here. All right, so we got the manometer all hooked up now. For natural gas heating, we're moderately exposed to wind here. There are some trees, but it is a little open also. And the program has us put the cost of fuel, electric and gas in the programs, and so that the program can calculate or estimate your annual savings or your fuel savings. Okay, and we're going to be ready to start the test here in a minute. We're all ready here to get this thing started, and then once we do, we're going to go through the house real quick as the fan is firing up. Make sure we're not pulling any insulation out of attics or anything like that, that we're not pulling ashes in from fireplaces. Then we'll get this rolling. And once we get this rolling, we're going to go around the house with a bottle of smoke. We're going to be feeling with our hands around windows and doors, attic scuttles, bathroom fans, things like that. And we're trying to detect air leakage there. Once we do, we can use smoke to kind of demonstrate the movement of the air and the speed that the air is moving. Okay, the first thing that's going to go here is we're going to get this computer. I'm going to turn the manometer on. Got to have that first, and then we're going to let the computer guide us through this. And the first thing that it wants us to do is to keep the fan covers in place, and it is now testing the pressure differential between the outside of the house and the inside of the house. On windy days, there could be a huge difference in pressure outside to inside. On calm days, there might not be any at all. And this is going to then factor that in and add and subtract it where it needs to get an accurate reading of the pressure we have in the house. So the next thing we're going to do here, I'm going to take rings B and C off, and we're going to get the home to 50 pascals of pressure. And the fan will keep it there as we go through the house and take a look at things. So we've got the fan now upstairs. It's running at putting the house under 50 pascals of negative pressure. I was a little concerned with the fireplace here I didn't know if we got all the ash or anything. I can stand here and I can feel cold air coming in from the fan sucking it in. I see no movement of any ash. I'm not worried about this. We'll come back to the fireplace later and take a look at exactly where this is coming from, and we'll be able to do that visually with blowing a little bit of smoke at it, and we'll be able to find the source of these leaks. What's that? So now we're still kind of looking the house over to see how it's dealing with this increased pressure that we're giving it, and you can hear this buzzing sound. And what we found is that the garage door's got a little bit of play in the latch, and it's opening a little bit, and it's weather stripped with a metal weather strip that's vibrating. So if I push on the door and shut it completely, the buzzing sound of the weather stripping stops. So what we're going to have to do now before we can continue is to figure out how to keep this door shut. I tried using the deadbolt on it, but there's a little bit of play in the deadbolt also. So we'll be dealing with that, and we'll get back to you as soon as we've got this solved. One of our recommendations here is to, and probably one of the top 2 or 3 here, is to get this door properly weather stripped and get it latching properly. As I'm standing here talking about the door, I can feel a lot of air coming into the hallway here from the utility room. So the next thing we're going to do is go into the utility room and figure out exactly where this is coming from. So we're going to have Tim go in here with this his bottle of smoke and try to determine where this storm is coming from.
Good leaker here too. The ductwork's penetrating the wall here between the utility room and the garage. And because that wasn't sealed up correctly, we're pulling in some more air from the garage area through this chase where the ductwork's running.
And we really want to get at these 2 air leaks here because we don't want air coming in from the garage. And when anywhere that air penetrates a home, it can bring in humid air and deposit that on different parts of the building. And if that continues, there is a possibility for mold growth if it doesn't dry properly. What Tim's doing now is, we've done a whole bunch of these, and we know that bath fans are notorious for leaking.
But this one isn't bad.
In this case, we don't have a whole lot of smoke movement there.
We do have some around this can light though.
And there, to tell you the truth, there isn't a real lot you can do with a bath fan. The dampers that are in these are made out of plastic. They don't fit perfectly in the exhaust pipe, and they're going to leak a little bit. And if your house is going to leak some air, it's not a bad place for it to leak through a bath fan, where the only thing it can get wet is the exhaust piping, and that'll be dried out. I mean, that pipe's made to get wet from humidity from bathrooms. As I'm going through this house, the temperature, we did have to turn the furnace off for this, but as I go through the house, the temperature of the house is decreasing. So we know we have a lot of outside air coming in here. These receptacles, they're notorious for leaking air. I mean, it's shooting air at my hand right now. And what we found is that this plate pretty much does seal the box. However, the device itself is a little leaky. And just by pushing in those child-proof caps for it stops those receptacles from leaking. I've done that in my house, and it's amazing the amount of air that's stopped by those. Now we have an exterior door right here. And as I put my hand across it, I got a little air coming in from the upper right-hand corner on it. But otherwise, a little bit down here at the threshold, I would take a look at my weather stripping on the bottom of the door here, and I would consider trying to figure out exactly what it is there and fixing that. We've got the telephone junction box here and the alarm junction box here, and both of these are on an exterior wall, and they're leaking. I mean, I don't even need, you might not even be able to see how the smoke just disappears when it comes here. It's leaking quite a bit. The air leakage is coming through here so fast that the smoke is just getting obliterated here. So, I mean, it's very obvious on your hands. We've got 40-degree air coming through this wall here. Another location of air leakage is can lights. There's a huge amount of air coming through here. you know, typically in houses you see a little bit of cobwebs or something, and those are great indicators. You can see this just wiggling in the airflow right there. And all these can lights are, this one's leaking quite a bit. These are just leaking, you know, like a typical can does. These type of cans here are the ones that are really showing a lot of leakage. The fact that these cans are leaking and we're in between floors means that we've got some kind of hole to the outside in the floor joist area. And the fact that these are leaking doesn't concern me as much as the source of the leak. And at that source of the leak, we'd want to try and find that. Electrical panels are also a big source of air leakage. There's the meter is on the outside of the house, and there's an entrance conduit that comes in from the meter that's secured to the outside of the home through the wall and into this box here. And if that conduit, if that pipe is not sealed, it just lets all that air come in. And there, you can just put your hand here and feel all the outside air just blowing in right here. And there is an approved putty, electrician's putty, that they use to stuff into that conduit, either on the outside of that conduit or the inside, and it conforms around the conductors that are coming through that pipe and seals that off, and then you can eliminate that pretty easily. In order to do that, you have to take the panel cover off, and if you do that, it should be a qualified individual that does that, because that's all live voltage that's unprotected from contact. Next thing we're going to do is look at the fireplace, and I was noticing also that these bricks return right onto the window frame, and I put my hand here and there's just air flying in. It looks like it was attempted to be caulked at one time, and the caulk's no longer there, but this joint here needs to be caulked, sealed, so that to limit this air infiltration here, which is coming from the chimney assembly on the outside of the house. You're going to get, that's going to be leaky. We just don't want the leakage to come in here. Okay, and now at the fireplace, and the damper is shut in the fireplace. Wow, there's a huge amount of air coming in between the unit. Yeah, and we should probably get some high temperature caulk and seal this brick lintel to the fireplace face here. And we're going to want to do that with high temperature caulk because it would get fairly warm right here when there's a fire burning. But this is a high volume of air coming in here. It's unbelievable. And we knew that when we had when we saw the fan jump up to 3,750 CFM of leakage. We knew we were going to find some leaks here, and we've already identified probably half of that leakage in these areas here where the window meets the brick. This is all leaking here, and it needs to be sealed up with some caulk. We've got a closet here that is underneath the stairs that go upstairs here. And when I'm standing here, I feel air coming at me, and it's cooling down quite a bit right here. And we've seen this before, where we have these floor joists here at this level here going to that outside foundation, and these floor joists go into the rim joist on the outside and sitting on a sill plate, and there's a lot of leakage between the sill plate and the foundation, the kind of uneven concrete. And it would be a wise idea to get in there and caulk that sill plate to the concrete and get those joist spaces insulated at the rim joist and seal that up as much as possible. Let's now test the things that are upstairs. As we come up the stairs here, we're going to check this front door. And there's a little bit of play in the latching system on this door, and that's causing the door to open up a little bit, so we've got some air leakage around the door. That can be taken care of by removing the strike plate and readjusting that. There's a little bit of movement. The pressure is trying to open the door. There's a little bit of play here on a windy day. This very same thing can be happening When I put a house under 50 pascals of pressure, it's the same as a 20-mile-an-hour wind hitting the whole surface area of the house. So on a day where you have 20-mile-an-hour winds, which is not a very high wind for this area, they go much higher, this very same thing can be happening, and this door can be opening and all this leakage can occur. There's not as much leakage here as I thought there would be. There is in a couple little areas. The weather stripping on this door seems to be working properly, but what I'd want to do is remove this strike plate and see if we can move it in a little bit so that this door will fit tighter to the weather stripping, so there's not so much play here. So we're on our way upstairs. First thing we should do is take a look at these windows. The windows are fairly new. When I'm approaching leaks, I'm getting the temperature change. When I'm in an area where there isn't any leakage, the temperature of the room is not changing all that much. And as you can see here, Tim's putting the smoke near the window, and there's little, if any, movement of that smoke. We're going to move on now to the patio door, and you know, we can check with our hands. This isn't bad. You get a little bit of leakage on the top of these doors in the track. You always do. Otherwise, again, I'm standing here and I'm feeling a little bit warmer than when I was standing over there a minute ago. Patio door is good. I'm going to say that this skylight's pretty good. I don't feel any air movement here. I don't feel cool. The whole house is cooling down because we're sucking all this cold air in, and I'm not feeling it right here. It's pretty warm right here. These can lights here are installed directly into the attic insulation, and there is very little air movement here. These are probably relatively new cans. They seem like they might be the sealed type. Yeah, I'm feeling very little at all. A lot of times in these houses of this age, when they built these soffits, they don't really seal those off very good from the attic space. And we have an older type can here. There's an awful lot of air coming through this can. And you know, really the only thing that you can really do here is to get the sealed cans that they're selling now. If you want to go after these leaks, it's got to be with new units. Okay, so another place that we're going to look is the attic access, and it's, you know, just normal all the time. We're going to get leakage at these attic access panels. They have usually a plywood or a drywall opening. It lays on top of casing. That panel, whether it's drywall or plywood, should have a foam gasket liner at the perimeter of it, so that when it sits on top of that molding, it seals better than just laying there kind of unevenly as it is now. Also, the inside of the attic side of that panel should be insulated. There's quite a bit of air in here. You can feel the temperature in this closet is colder than it is in the home right now. Another source of air leakage that we found through doing a number of these occurs at ceiling fans. This is a ceiling adjacent to an attic, and I'm warm in this room right now. We've gone around, we found some pretty good leaks in here, and what we would do now is go back and create a report with our recommendations. As I pointed out earlier, we had to input the cost of gas and electric, and the nice thing about this program is it uses those fuel costs to give us an estimated cost of how much this air leakage is costing us. And in other words, the more of these leaks we take care of, how much money we can save. And there's a potential of saving $204 per year on our heating and $35 per year on our cooling if we attack some of these leaks. We're not going to get them all, but right now $239 is of the homeowner's money is just going through a 400 square inch opening in their home. And we want to reduce the size of that opening as best we can, and maybe we'll be able to get $150 or $175 of savings annually, and it might only cost us, you know, $10 in some weather stripping and a couple of tubes of caulk. What's that? A metal weather strip that's vibrating. So if I push on the door and shut it completely, the buzzing sound of the weather stripping stops. So what we're going to have to do now before we can continue is to figure out how to keep this door shut. I tried using the deadbolt on it, but there's a little bit of play in the deadbolt also. So we'll be dealing with that, and we'll get back to you as soon as we've got this solved.